Hello and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, 2020, and today's topic is called Squirrely Stars, Crafty Skies, and it covers a collection of images and sky observations happening between June 25th and June 30th. So before we jump into the sky observations, again I'd like to say welcome and warm greetings. Good day, osio, hao, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrohonia, annyeonghaseyo, boa tarde, dobry den, aloha awinala, and galimera. So today's starter image, I normally like to include either a healthy homemade item or even junk food or comfort food item. I didn't have those this week, so we're going with this rose. Some people like to use it as a meditation focal point. You just keep a very soft eyes on the center and transition into your meditation. So enjoy if you do that. Alright, so let's get going with the sky observations. This is just called Smoky Sky Tracings. I've been noticing more and more close to, well, at sunset hours, some of these smoky lines. And here's the original at the right-hand side of the photo. It looked like a wishbone at first, and then it started morphing into a pointed ellipse, a very shallow one. So I just zoomed in on these other images here and put high contrast on it so you could better see some of the lines. Here it's just a little muddy. So, the right side is here, this is these kind of hook or wing-like things happening. Just really odd. So just something to watch, and I'll try to catch more as they happen. Oh, and on this left-hand side photo, that's just some of the really vibrant reds and orange and pinks that were being caught from the west, which is to the left of this photo. Okay, now, as we get into these images, I usually like to walk through most of them with you and really pick out a lot of things in detail. I'm going to kind of go quicker through this show, so that means I'll put it on you to take some of these on your own time at your leisure, to zoom in, preferably put them up on a bigger screen if you're watching this on a mobile or handy device. Put them up on a laptop or a bigger monitor, and you can start to see more things, if you want to. Otherwise, we'll go through pretty quickly today just to not make it such a long show. But here we go. On the right-hand side, this original photo, I started to see something forming, and what's happening routinely now is that I start to see this kind of fluster, this kind of concentration of a disturbance or weird kind of clouds happening. Here you can see it on the left, upper left. I've changed the contrast on it so you could see these clouds a little bit more. I also started to pull out the shapes a little more, which I've outlined, where I see them. These pentagonal shapes are really starting to be on the rise in the skies. Before I used to just see triangles, and now these things are coming out full force. So do go out and look up as much as you can, each day, even if 5 or 10 minutes, as I say. And if you can pick the same time of day, maybe you can start compare, what's happening. But really, anytime you can get out there, you're going to see something guaranteed the more you start looking and when you know what to look for. Okay, so here I'm just calling this one a winged sky man versus storm. As you can see, to me this looks like a head, maybe even a halo, and neck, shoulders, torso, his hands coming up here, wings. I don't call it an angel because it kind of had a sinister feel to him. Maybe it wasn't, but if you look in the upper right, I changed the contrast. It looks like he has, 2 eyes, nose, and a mouth, and maybe even, later, it looks like his hand in the next frame down. Looks like his hand is almost, putting like stop, So I noticed also this triangle starting to become very obvious with the contrast. You can actually see it here too. Anyway, it just looked like this cloud. It was like a battle between this guy and this thing, this entity, and this cloud stuff. So I don't know who's on the good side or the bad side, if there is such a thing of that happening here. But it just was weird. This thing eventually overtook this whole form. So anyway, have fun looking at this, see what you see happening in there. Okay, now this slide is just called Cloud, Butterfly, and Flying Craft with a question mark, because I first noticed this on the left-hand side photo. This is, again, this kind of artificial feeling cloud work that starts to roll in and create a dense blanket, like a dark gray blanket, masking out the sunsets completely. And I say artificial because if you've watched some of my previous shows, you'll see why I say that. I'm not going to repeat it too much here. But just the edges, things start to fray, and it just feels like a density and like a gaseous type of monster rolling in. But anyway, look at the other shows to get more information on that. But for now, I was just looking at that cloud, and then I noticed here it looks like whoosh, like a little craft or something is zooming off. And then there start to be some shapes here. So to the right-hand photo, I put the high contrast on it to pull things out a little bit more. So I don't know if you can see it, what I see, but here I see the butterfly, the bigger wings, and then the smaller part of the wings, that would be the center. And it's symmetrical. And the closer I looked in there, I found a cone shape, found a pentagon hanging over here in some other shape. This was the clear edge of a triangle. I just left it like that because I can't see exactly what's happening. And that little craft thing that I'm just calling little craft zooming off, it had definite shape. Again, I'm just pulling out the edges that I clearly see. Is this a pentagon, a hexagon, or even something else? I don't know because I can't see through this cloud. Anyway, start to see a triangle here. Is there one here? Coming down here, possibly. So there's a lot going on, so have fun taking a look for yourself as well, see what you see. Alright, now this is just called whiteout sky at sunset. I'm not going to really hang on to this slide hover over it for a while. We're going to move through pretty quickly. But mainly it's just showing that we're just getting this weird artificial looking sun and mask out on it. And it's not the Sahara dust, what's being purported out there. Yes, it's happening, but this is not that situation. This kind of mask out and whiteout has been happening. The glaring mask out has been happening in other months as well. And I'm just noting I'm starting to catch some weird patterning happening above it, which we'll look at more in detail in the next slide. And look at what's causing this weird, kind of curved activity. Just a lot of strange stuff happening in there. Okay, now here it is a little more zoomed in and high contrast on that activity above of what could be happening. You start to see some shapes even here without the contrast. You see these things, are these edges of triangles, layered and stacking? Is this an arrow shape and some other form happening? Hard to say. But what is this? Look at these weird puffs. It's almost like somebody's creating a smoke signal. I'm just joking because nobody is, but kind of looks like that. And then you got a stray puff over here. The skies are just changing in very weird ways. And again, do be present and go look and see what's going on in the skies every day. Okay, now here's those patterns again, taken a little bit later. And again, it just seems like they could be stacked or layered up triangles, edges of triangles. This pattern does appear in a previous show I've done as well. Then just looking at this a little curious form, when I zoomed in and put the contrast, this is chemtrail coming across. I saw it being made. It lingered forever. It's not a condensation trail. Cover the differences in the chemtrails and contrails in another show as well. Both exist. So here's a zoom in, and again you just kind of see the character of that chemtrail. And again, very clear to me. It looks like a bird with a wing. So just curious combination of patterns and shapes happening in the sky as well. Alright, now this is a side-by-side. Top of the slide shows one image on the left, one on the right. The two below are just high contrasts of each image. So I want to point out that the one on the left has a very warm glow, and as you go down and look in contrast, you can see reddish and pinkish in there, and some golden tones. Now on the right, it's happening 7 minutes later at sunset, where it just totally fades out to whiteness, and there you go. You don't even see any red or warm tones in it. So what is happening back here? There's such a heavy, hazed out, fogged out, whatever you want to call it, masked out veil that we can't see what even is happening with the sun at sunset. So again, just another curiosity. I invite you to be really paying attention to sunrise if you guys are up at the crack of dawn, and also sunsets and everything in between. Alright, now here is another sequence, I'm calling it white veiled sky at sunset, again masked out. Here you have two different parts, weird cloud activities, totally different side by side, so I have a question mark there, what's going on? Then you look at this sky and you see some shapes, and you also see the smudge out, which I talked about on a previous show. It's almost like somebody puts a translucent masking tape over the lens, but yet everything else is in focus, so something's going on there, some type of phenomenon. Here's just the interesting views of this really masked out sun. You start to see things happening back here if you really look. And I just thought I would catch this moment. And now on the lower right shot is again this artificial thick, blanket that moves in like clockwork, and starts to migrate toward the north and northwest, where the sun sets more in the northwest these days, oddly enough. And again, to further mask out any chance of seeing what's going on with the actual sun at sunset hours. Alright, so now this is just called odd clouds and shapes. If you look at the right hand original photo, and this on the left, lower left, is original 2. and up here as well. I only put high contrast on the upper leftmost corner photo. But anyway, you start to see some shapes, whether it's a triangle at first glance, it seems so, but the further you look, it looks like a pointed ellipse. So again, this is kind of tricky. The more you look, the more you see, or is this a bigger pentagon, shape? And is it a layering of all of the above? Are these like sheets layered, or are they craft, interdimensional things? I just don't know. Judging by the size, I don't think that's human-made unless it's some type of foil or technology that like unfolds itself or something. Look, you even see kind of a corner of it overlapping, if I'm not mistaken, with the sun. And again, that seems like a very artificial white glaring sun. Anyway, I'll let you ponder on your own what's going on. I just want to point out one more thing. At this view of this triangular shape, we also have these fuzzy things happening at 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So I put high contrast on it, and yes, you can see something's happening around this particular shape. So again, is it a craft? Is it some type of really advanced technology, like in sheet forms, or is it something interdimensional? I don't know, but I'll leave it to you to have a look more in detail on your own. This also looks like it's a different shape happening there as well. And this is just another view. So again, odd shape, even looks like a layering of, I don't know, foil or I don't know what type of thin sheet material is happening in here, or if it's crafts. Again, not sure, but to me it's clear something's going on there. Alright, now I want to thank Sungazer77 for sending in a couple of photos this time around again. These are happening out on the west coast of Florida at about 1 in the morning. He noticed some bright objects, and it was a starry sky, but these did not seem to fit and did not seem to be planets or stars. He said they were just odd, and they stayed fixed and really bright. Again, didn't feel like planets to him, so he felt like they were something else. So I zoomed in and changed the contrast, and I just see these kind of things have geometry to them now. I don't know if that was the trick of the camera doing that or not, but it also seems to have a triangle happening behind there too. So I'm just noting that. Hard to say exactly what that was, but maybe somebody out there, maybe one of you have also noticed a similar phenomenon and have a little more information on it, and if so, as always, kindly leave me your comments in the comment section below. Okay, this is also from Sungazer77, thank you. This is still the west coast of Florida, and just calling it orange sun, because clearly that's what it is. I zoomed in just to give you a little bit better idea of what's going on, but very odd, coloration on that. Okay, now this photo comes in from the Playita sisters, so thank you, Playita sisters, for this photo, and I also included excerpts on the cover. And actually, Sungazer77 also has his photos on the cover as well, on the cover slide, so thank you to all who submit interesting things to look at and share. So this is just called Hidden Sun at Sunset. Actually, there's extra quotes there. Excuse me, you can ignore those. But anyway, the sun is there, but it's also not there. So again, you may be able to pick it out, but it's not exactly clear, where it begins, where it ends, because again, this gray blanket of cloud very timely and routinely starts to cover our impressions or our visibility of the sunset at sunset. Oh, sorry, I'm going to go back one moment. And these birds, the viewers weren't sure what they were, so just looking at it, to me it seems like it might be an osprey, but I'm not sure. Okay, now here's the sunset sequence. Again, I'm capturing and documenting these things. We go from white to yellow, golden to orange to red to pink to white, and it always happens usually around between 8 and 8:30. It's most visible, but now I started in even earlier. So around 7:25, you just see it's white, and then we move into the sequence of picking up some of the colors. And then, I'm sorry, I think I blew past. Oh, sorry, I blew past this one. So then we get in, again, more golden and orange, get into the pinks and more reds, and then it fades back out and goes back to white. All right, now, same sunset. I looked at the stop sign to the east, and obviously the sunset was happening to the northwest, and you can pick up that red sunset happening, so the reddish-orange colors, and then as they go red to pink, so it's just kind of interesting. I thought I would note it here. And then on the same night, looking south in the southern sky was the moon at 74% lit, waxing gibbous. All right, so I like to close on a note of nature. This time it is the eastern gray squirrel, and I'll let you look at the scientific name. I believe it's pronounced Sciurus carolinensis. It's one of 3 species of squirrels found in Florida. The other 2 are the fox squirrel and the southern flying squirrel. Let you look at the stats and what they eat, mostly nuts and seeds and things, but I've even seen one eating half of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It took it out of a park garbage can and ran up the tree with it and proceeded to eat it, so they're adaptable. They have different predators. I'll let you read that here below, and there are a couple of sources that are a good place to start. I have put the links down here below. And also, it's important to note that most of the wildlife information sources I've been looking at support that squirrels do not, I repeat, do not carry rabies if there is a possibility that it's been extremely scarce, and mainly because they do eat plant material. They're more herbivore in nature, and so they're not going to carry that. Anyway, that's just an interesting note there. Okay, so thank you for dropping in a bit. This is a photo of the week. It's a little cluster of part of a branch of Delenix regia, which is royal poinciana or flame tree buds, before they bloom into their nice flaming blossoms. And just crossed my path and hit the street. It just seemed like a beautiful moment to share with you. So anyway, that's it for today. I really appreciate you being here, especially if you've liked or subscribed. I appreciate it. And just in general, happy you're here sharing this moment with me. Wish you a beautiful weekend coming up. If I don't get another show out, have a very happy Independence Day to everyone in the U.S., but more importantly, happy Day of Freedom, and actually happy lifetime of freedom. May we all live free, and that's just what I'm going to say for now. Freedom is everything, so whatever that means to you. So anyway, great love and peace to all. Lavender Sky Panther, take care everybody. Bye-bye.